When people aren't together right now, most outsiders assume one person has already moved on. That's almost never the full story. Here's a complete, emotionally driven YouTube script built for deep retention, intimacy, and high audience watch time around the topic. Not together right now? This is what they're secretly feeling. You know that moment. It's 1:13 in the morning. Your phone lights up for half a second. Not a message, just a random notification. But your body still reacts like maybe it's them. And for a split second, you forget you're not together anymore. Then the silence comes back. You replay old conversations. You reread meaning into tiny things. The way they viewed your story but didn't text. The way they disappeared right after getting close again. The way you keep telling yourself you should let go, while secretly hoping they're thinking about you too. And inside your head, it sounds like this. Do they miss me at all? Was any of it real? If they cared, why are they silent? Are they hurting too? Or am I the only one stuck here? But here's the part most people completely misunderstand. Distance does not automatically mean detachment. Sometimes the person who looks the most withdrawn is carrying the most unspoken emotion beneath the surface. And no, you're not weak for still feeling connected. You're not crazy for sensing there's unfinished emotional energy here. Every person who has ever deeply loved someone has stood exactly where you're standing. By the end of this video, you're going to understand what people secretly feel when they're no longer together, why silence often hides far more emotion than words, and how to finally stop misreading distance as the absence of love. Let's get into it. Most couples believe separation creates clarity instantly, that if someone really loves you, they'll chase immediately, communicate perfectly, and never pull away. But the real truth is much messier, much more human. When relationships become emotionally overwhelming, the nervous system starts protecting before the heart starts communicating. And that changes everything. Because what looks like indifference is often emotional overload. What looks like avoidance is often someone trying not to drown in feelings they don't know how to process. What looks like silence is sometimes grief with nowhere to go. Your partner's nervous system is reading pain before their conscious mind even catches up. That's why someone can miss you deeply and still not reach out. Why they can think about you every day and still act distant. Why they can love you and still feel terrified of reconnecting. Bro, this is where most people completely misread what's happening. They think love is measured by visible pursuit alone. But attachment science shows something deeper. People respond to emotional pain in opposite ways. One person moves closer, the other pulls away. One says, "We need to talk." The other says, "I need space." Not because one cares more, but because both nervous systems are trying to survive the loss differently. And once you understand that, every signal starts looking different. 1. The silence is usually louder than you think. Here's the part no one talks about. Most couples assume silence means emotional absence. But silence is often what happens when feelings become too emotionally charged to express safely. Because beneath the surface, many people aren't sitting there feeling nothing. They're sitting there feeling too much. They miss you, then get angry for missing you, then try distracting themselves, then think about you again at random moments they cannot control. Their nervous system keeps reopening the connection before they've emotionally resolved it. And this is why no contact feels so confusing. Because externally, nothing is happening. Internally, everything is happening. The disconnecting version sounds like this. You clearly don't care. If you missed me, you'd say something. But the connecting version sounds different. I think part of you is probably trying to protect yourself right now. And honestly, I understand that.
Because sometimes what's moving through someone silently is,
if I talk to them again, all these feelings are coming back. And when you understand that, you stop confusing emotional suppression with emotional absence. That's when the walls between you start to soften, without either person forcing the moment. 2. They're replaying the relationship too. And this is the one most couples never figure out. Most people in relationships think they are the only one analyzing the past after separation. You're not. The other person is replaying moments too. Different moments maybe, but still replaying them. Their brain revisits the fight in the kitchen, the goodbye they handled badly, the night you cried and they emotionally shut down, the small moments they should have protected better. Because human attachment does not disappear cleanly. It echoes. Not instantly healed, not fully gone, not erased by distraction. But here's what nobody explains. People often process loss in delayed waves, especially emotionally withdrawn people. At first, they feel relief from pressure. Then later, when the nervous system settles down, the grief finally arrives. And suddenly, ordinary things hurt. A song, a restaurant, an empty passenger seat. Something inside them quietly says, I didn't realize how much of my life felt like home because they were in it. The disconnecting version looks like pretending everything is fine online while emotionally numbing underneath. The connecting version looks like honest self-reflection. I think I contributed to the drift too. I think I stopped showing up emotionally. And man, that level of awareness changes people. Because that's when your partner stops feeling like the villain in your story and starts feeling human again. 3. What they miss most isn't always what you think. This is where it gets really interesting. Most couples think people miss the big things after separation. The attraction, the chemistry, the vacations, the sex. But deeper attachment usually misses something quieter. Presence. The feeling of someone emotionally existing beside you consistently. Because intimacy is not built in dramatic moments. It's built in ordinary ones. The quote, text me when you get home. The shared glance across a room. The hand on your back in public. The tiny rituals that made life feel emotionally anchored. And once those disappear, the nervous system notices. Not immediately maybe, but eventually. It's like phantom limb pain. Your emotional system keeps reaching for someone who used to be there automatically. And here's what changes everything. What they often secretly miss is not perfection. It's emotional familiarity. Not louder love, not grand gestures, not cinematic romance, but the safety of being known. The disconnecting version says, we just lost the spark. The connecting version says, we stopped turning toward each other in small moments. Because what her brain may quietly be registering is, I miss feeling emotionally seen. And what he may secretly be feeling is, I miss who I was when I felt safe with her. That's the shift that turns love from fantasy back into something real and deeply human. Number 4, they're probably fighting themselves more than you. Here's the part people rarely admit out loud. Most people in relationships think the breakup battle is between two people. A lot of the time, it's happening inside one person. Because separation creates internal conflict. Part of them misses you. Part of them fears repeating the same pain. Part of them wants closeness again. Part of them still feels emotionally exhausted. And when those inner worlds collide, people become inconsistent. Hot and cold. Present then withdrawn. Warm one week, silent the next. Not because they're playing games necessarily, but because unresolved emotions create unstable behavior patterns. Your nervous system in heartbreak is like a smoke detector. It cannot tell the difference between emotional vulnerability and emotional danger.
So every possible reconnection can trigger panic and longing at the exact same time.
The disconnecting response sounds like, they're confusing. They don't know what they want. But the deeper response sounds like, they're emotionally conflicted. And honestly, that distinction matters. Because somewhere inside them may be the unspoken thought, if I let myself feel this fully, I might fall right back into it. That's why healing requires emotional honesty, not emotional guessing. And when you understand that, you stop personalizing every inconsistent signal as rejection. Number 5, the real question isn't, do they feel something? It's, what happens next? And this is the one that changes everything. Most couples obsess over hidden feelings, but feelings alone do not rebuild connection. Awareness does. Emotional maturity does. Repair does.
Because two people can secretly miss each other for years and still never create a healthy relationship together. That's the painful truth. Not because the love wasn't real, but because love without emotional safety eventually collapses under the weight of unresolved patterns. And here's what nobody explains. Real reconciliation is not two people returning to the old relationship. It's two people becoming emotionally different enough to create a new one. Not more chasing. Not more promises. Not, we just need better timing. But two people finally learning how to stay emotionally available when things get hard. The disconnecting version sounds like, I just want things back how they were. But the connecting version sounds like, I want us to become healthier than we were. Because this isn't a communication hack. This is what emotionally mature love actually looks like. And when that shift happens, something inside both people relaxes. The relationship stops feeling like survival and starts feeling like refuge.
So if you're not together right now, and you've been wondering whether they still feel something, there's a very good chance they do. Maybe more than they even know how to explain. But this video is not really about obsessing over another person's hidden emotions. It's about understanding human connection deeply enough that you stop reducing love to surface behavior alone. Because emotionally mature people learn something most couples never do. Someone can love you and still be overwhelmed. Someone can miss you and still stay silent. Someone can care deeply and still not yet know how to repair what was broken. And when you internalize that, you stop reacting from panic and start seeing relationships with clarity instead of fear. That changes the way you love. That changes the way you heal. That changes the kind of partner you become. Because these aren't just tips for understanding someone else. They're the beginning of becoming emotionally safe enough to build the kind of connection that doesn't keep collapsing under unspoken pain. And here's the sentence I want you to remember long after this video ends. Real love is not proven by who feels more. It's revealed by who becomes emotionally honest enough to stop running from what they feel.